All right, let's go ahead and get rolling here. Welcome everyone. Thanks for hopping on. See some familiar faces in here, so appreciate you guys making time for us each week here for these sessions. Hope that means you guys are seeing lots of value in them. Anyway, really fast again, Ryan Dosen, Director of Sales here at Host Merchant. I'm joined by some team members. We got Eric here like usual. Thanks to Eric for hopping in to help out. If anybody has any questions, remember, go ahead and type them in. Eric can try to help answer some questions, and we'll also, I think we're going to have some time. I always say this, but I do think we will be having some time here at the end. Hold on one second. Chris wants to join us too. Let me go ahead and add him here before we get officially up and running. All right. I think Chris, our VP of Sales, may also be joining us here in just a second. Let me let him know that he's got the invite. All right. So before we get rolling with the sales trenches, again, like usual, as you know, here at Host, Your All Success as independent sales agents. That's our number one priority. We're committed to delivering a ton of value to you all to help you all build your book of business, help bring as much education and information your way to empower you to hit out and win as much as you can out there. 24/7 tech support, US-based tech support for you and your merchants, personal relationship managers that know your business. We help you get streamlined merchant approvals, get everyone up and running quickly. And we're doing everything we can to deliver the type of partnership that you want to see and are going to find a lot of value in. Here at Host, we provide you access to an unmatched selection of payment technologies, physical devices from companies like Valor, Deja Vu, Clover, Ingenico, Swipe Simple, and more. A ton of other payment technologies like gateways from many different companies and our own cloud manager software suite that we've developed here in-house. So again, our goal here is to not only provide you with all the possible tools that you might need to help win out there, but also to help provide you with guidance as to which are going to be the correct solutions for you to present to your clients out there in the field so that you're able to win the deals, and you're also able to win the deals in a way where the client is getting the absolute best solution for them so that they stay with you for the long haul. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and hop in here. I got something kind of cool to share. I'm going to geek out a little bit here when I show you. I've got a new image here for our new series. Thank you, ChatGPT. Anyway, it might change here, but I went to GPT and asked it to create a cool image for us. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, again, the name of the series is The Sales Trenches, Solution-Based Selling in the Real World. This is intended to be a multi-part series that's going to help identify a bunch of different situations and scenarios where we get a lot of questions here at Host from our agents as to, hey, how should I go into the conversation? What should I do in the conversation? What are the right solutions for me to present to win the business? So again, our goal is to do everything we can to put you in the best position possible to win out there. All right, so again, why does the series exist? Talked about it a little bit there. Again, selling in the real world isn't always nice and tidy and clean and easy. Merchants don't necessarily speak in product terms. Your conversations are not going to just follow a script as much as we may want to script out our responses ahead of time and what we're going to say ahead of time. Again, you don't necessarily want to always be following a script because, again, if you're following a script too much, you're probably not doing enough listening. And so we want to give you the information that you need to be able to actively listen, and then be able to provide the right solutions. And again, the right solution depends on the individual merchant, their individual needs, their individual pain points. Okay. So, and again, this series is about what actually happens out in the field so that you're ready for it. Okay. So what the sales trenches means. Okay. So the sales trenches is just kind of our our term for kind of your real world situations when you're out there fighting for the business. Okay, you walk into a place, what's going to happen? What are the questions you're going to get, or what are the common requests you're going to get from your merchants? What are some curveball questions that maybe if you haven't attacked a particular vertical or type of business, what are those types of curveballs that you might see that you might not realize that we can maybe help prepare you for? Okay. What are some industry specific differences? Again, if you're going and attacking a new vertical, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, right? So our goal here is to help you guys get out there and win business in maybe areas where you aren't experts yet, whether you're a new agent or whether you're an experienced agent that just hasn't gone after a specific vertical, okay? What are those industry specific differences that you need to be aware of so that when you get in front of the merchants, you're able to look like you really know what you're talking about, and you actually do really know what you're talking about because we prepped you for it. Okay, so again, the goal here is we want you to be able to ask better questions. We want you to be able to hopefully diagnose the situation, size up the situation and how the conversation's probably going to go, what those pain points probably are before you're even going to get into a pitch. And of course, matching the right solutions to the right scenario. Okay, again, we're focusing on real world merchant scenarios, common questions, industry specific differences, and how to think in terms of solutions, not just the products, right? So we're going to start again with the solution deck today. Some of you were on our previous webinar. I think it was from September where we kind of introduced the solution deck. We're going to circle back on it briefly today as kind of a foundation piece for this entire series, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to know what tools are in your tool belt, what tools are to be used in which situations, and all that information, or most of that information, is actually there at your fingertips in the deck. Not trying to put you off on the deck. You all know you have relationship managers that are there to help you win the business. You, of course, can reach out to them and us. If you ever have a question, I get those all the time. Get an agent saying, hey, Ryan, I'm going after this business, but I've never sold this business before. I got to go pitch them. What do I need to be aware of? We help guide you through that. But some of you are super busy, or you just want to grab and do the research yourself. Well, we got great tools here for you. Okay. And it starts with the deck. Okay. And again, this is not just about theory. This is designed to be practical, situational, stuff that you'll actually be able to use when you get out in the field. Okay. So after today, okay, so today's kind of the introduction, laying the groundwork for it. Going forward, each session is going to introduce some sort of real world scenario or situation that you might be faced with. We're going to break down what the merchant is, okay, what they think they're asking for, what it sounds like they're asking for, but is that what they really need? Is that what they're really asking for? And how to be prepared for that when you go in. Okay. Reference the relevant solution categories so you're able to say, okay, well, if I'm going to pitch a gas station tomorrow, what do I need to know, right? What are those categories? What are those things I need to be aware of before I walk in without knowing what I'm walking into? Okay, discuss what could be a fit, what might not be a fit. Okay, we're going to talk about this a couple of times today, maybe more than a couple, and that is the common practice, and it's very understandable for agents to learn one solution really well, and then they try to cram every merchant into that same sardine can. Okay, I know this one, and I know everything in and out about this one solution, so I'm just going to pitch this solution to everyone because I feel more comfortable selling this than I feel selling something else. So I'm not going to make myself look stupid and try to sell something I don't know as well. I'm going to just go with what I know, but what you know may not be the right fit for what they need, right? So that's what we're going to talk about here in all these different episodes that we're going to do. Okay, so what are those common situations you're going to find yourself in? And maybe you're really strong with one specific technology, but maybe that's not the right one for that merchant, okay? And deep down, if you're selling them something that maybe isn't the right fit for them, that you're not really doing right by them. That there's an increased chance that it's going to blow up in your face, but sometimes you just take what's the easy sell, what you feel like you can sell, even though it's maybe not the right thing. So we want to get past that. We want to get past just one track mind. I know this solution and I'm just going to sell this to everybody, to I have the ability to sell everything in the deck, everything that Host provides. Host provides more solutions than everyone, and I can sell each and every one of them. So now I know I'm going to put my client, my merchant, with a company that's going to treat them better than anyone else, and I know I'm putting them in the right solution, setting them up for success, right? So that's what you want to do, okay? Getting prepared. That's what this is all about. Okay. And again, why are we starting with the solutions deck? Well, before we can sell the solutions confidently, you need to know what solutions you have at your fingertips, what you can put people in, not just what you know best. Okay. What problems those solutions are designed to solve, and when it makes sense and when it doesn't make sense to sell a particular solution. Okay. And that's where that understanding lives. Okay. What is the solutions deck and what is it not? Okay. The solutions deck is an internal reference tool for you agents. Okay. It's a way to understand the capabilities and the solutions that you have at your disposal, what's in your tool belt. And it's a guide to the different solution categories. Okay. But it is not a merchant facing presentation. You're not showing this to your merchants. This is not a script that you're just going to follow. This is not something that you're going to slideshow in a meeting, right? This is something that is for your information and so that you can know what you have and what you don't have and what works and what doesn't work. Okay, preparing conversations. You can think through the merchant needs by taking a look at the different options that are available for the different solutions, and you can identify the potential solution paths. Okay, helps you kind of answer internally, what could we do here for this merchant? Well, when we look at the different solutions all lined up, well, I can see I can do this and I can't do that. So if they say they want X and Y and Z, but not A and B, then you're able to see where that all lines up. All right. One quick thing before I open up the solutions deck. Again, remember, new solutions decks are available monthly. Eric is awesome and creates a new version of these every month. They are available, our relationship managers are able to email those to you on a monthly basis when they're released. If you don't have an updated one, contact your RM and we'll get that out to you. And again, it's going to give you an overview of the available terminals, pin pads, mobile readers, gateways, POS solutions, and more. All right, so I'm going to stop share here and I'm going to share the deck really fast. We're not going to take a deep dive on it because we did that a little while ago. Okay. But again, just as kind of a quick overview. Okay, so down here, you've got your tabs, you've got the HMS specific solutions like our Cloud Manager Suite. I know you guys have, a lot of you have already boarded merchants on these solutions. Again, as a quick reminder, we have Cloud Studio, Cloud Rental, Cloud Job. We also have Cloud Donor, okay, which is literally just rolling out now, and I'm sure that'll be in next month's version of the solution deck, okay? You're able, when you come in here, if you have a merchant that has a question about, hey, what does it cost, or what is it capable of doing, you're able to look in here, right? You've got a million columns, okay? Might be a little bit overwhelming, but if you slow down a little bit, you can see, okay, we have the, is there a setup fee? Yes, there is one for HMS Pay, but there's not one for the Cloud Manager Suite. Oh. Eric is correcting me. He's saying that Donor is in there now. I'm looking at the old version. Oh, he's right, Jane. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that, and I will fall on the sword because you did a good job there getting that in there. All right, so monthly. What are the monthly fees? What are the per transaction fees? So you're able to see, okay, where do I need to price this thing at? And what am I looking at in terms of profit on the account? You're able to see all that in here. ACH batching, is level 2, level 3 available. It's available for no cost, with the HMS Pay Gateway, okay? There is a cost. I think it's $10 roughly for like a Deja Vu or something like that, okay? Dual pricing is included, compliance surcharging. If you're wondering, oh, does the Cloud Manager Suite, does it allow for that? Well, yeah, it does, and it's actually included and it's free. Okay. Hosted payment pages. Is there a per transaction when someone pays on a hosted payment page? Is there text to pay? Yes, yeah, a whole bunch of great stuff there, obviously with HMS Pay. Not trying to sell it, but again, the types of information you're able to see in here that you may not have even realized is on here, because to be fair, this is a pretty wide spreadsheet, right? So you might have opened it up and been like, oh, this is overwhelming. There's lots of good information in here, and quick and easy answers to your questions. Can we use can we use HMS Pay if this is on TSYS, or if on Maverick and we've got a high risk deal going or something like that. Okay, so again, those are our HMS solutions. We've got a bunch of different terminal solutions available in here. They're broken out and separated by, brand. We've got the Deja Vu devices that are available to you up top. Valor devices, PAX devices, Ingenico, First Data devices in there. Okay, and again, similar deal, what does it cost? What do the terminals cost? You got that info right in here. Can I use these devices on certain card networks? Yes, right in here. What type of what type of payment card acceptance, right? A lot of times we'll get questions about, hey, my client says they have to have tap to pay, something like that. All right, so which solutions have tap to pay? Well, a bunch of them in here do, right? Another thing, that a common question is, okay, well, it's a device, but it needs to be, it needs to have Wi-Fi, right? Or it needs to have 4G, right? So like the P3 has 4G, P1 does not have 4G or Bluetooth, okay? So again, questions like that, you have answers to those in here. Other specs, okay? Does it support dual pricing? Does it support level 2, level 3 optimization? Contactless payments? Does it have a printer? So what's the paper size? Okay, so again, like right here, okay, the P1, it does have a printer, but if you're wondering whether it prints, okay, the P5 doesn't. Okay, you can probably tell that by looking at it, but still it's in here in the solution deck, you're able to see it. Okay, does it integrate with Extra 360? My client needs a rewards program. Okay, great. Well, P-line devices support Extra 360, but the QD4 does not support Extra 360, okay? And those answers are right there for you, okay? And again, it's all broken out by the different types of terminals, which, again, Eric's done a great job putting that all in there. Different types of pin pads by brand, different types of mobile readers by brand, a bunch of different gateways, and again, you've got your setup fees. Again, many don't have setup fees, but some do. What are the monthlies, the per transactions, all those details that we talked about on that first page with HMS Pay. You're able to access all that stuff in here. Okay, so another question I get a lot, and you all probably see too, is, oh, this merchant needs to be able to do Apple Pay or Google Pay. Okay, all right, so, well, this is in this deck, you're able to see whether a particular solution accepts, Apple Pay or Google Pay. And that was probably over here to the far right-hand side after you got overwhelmed maybe the first time you took a look at it. Does it support text-to-pay, right? This is going to be a topic probably in the near future. Hey, text-to-pay solutions. They don't all support text-to-pay, but some of them do. Which ones do? Which ones support QR code payments? Okay. A lot of questions recently about, what are the different point of sale solutions and what are the costs of the different point of sale solutions? Well, you've got those in here. We sell Corona, we sell Clover, the Deja Pay Pro, and we have some other solutions as well. Okay, we have, what I'm told is pretty much the best pricing out there for all of the hardware. And so you're able to see what that pricing is and get those answers really fast. Like if you're walking into someone that's probably going to go with point of sale, you probably want to brush up on the cost, so you're able to give that to them right there on the spot. Same thing with the accessories. All right. So again, the solutions deck is here. There's a lot in here. It is a little bit overwhelming, but again, there is, I was talking with Chris Clements earlier today, and he was talking about, there's a lot of minutia in this business. And for those of you that are new, you're just coming to realize that. For those of you that have been in here for a long time, there's a ton of little details, and a lot of times a little detail winds up being the thing that makes a difference between winning the business or not, or the merchant being happy or not. So the deck is, we're trying to make it as comprehensive to cover all the minutia that's going to be relevant for you out in the fields. And again, just spending a little bit of time with it, even though I know a lot of times salespeople aren't spreadsheet people, there's a lot of value for you in here. All right, I'm going to stop share on this, and we're going to go back to the presentation. All right. All right, so we covered the deck. All right, so from understanding to application, okay? So, knowing what's available changes how you're going to sell, right? So instead of defaulting to the same solution, we talked about this a few minutes ago, which is a very common mistake. We see this all too often that we got, an agent, they just keep selling the same thing. And it's like, hey, what's going on? Like, Chris was good enough to hop on a call with me with a new merchant a few minutes ago that we had some genuine questions about whether, hey, they were thinking maybe some deja vu devices, and now they're thinking, well, yeah, maybe Clover. And Chris asked some great questions. He was like, hey, well, are they going to want to do this eventually? Are they going to want to do that eventually? Are they, we should know this so we can put them in the best possible solution, not only for now, not just to get them in the door, but to set them up for success and maybe to avoid pain long term, And so we don't want to just sell what we know, okay? We don't want to just react to surface level requests too, right? They say, I want this. Okay, great. Awesome. You want this. Let's still make sure, let's still dig a little bit. Let's still ask the right questions so that we know not only what you think you want, but we want to make sure that what you want is the right thing. And if it's not, then we've got a solution for it, right? Then maybe we've got a better alternative, right? Because sometimes they think they know what they want, but they don't have all the knowledge that you have as their agent. They don't have all the experience that you have as their agent. You've seen common mistakes. We've seen common mistakes, common misconceptions that we're able to help them get ahead of and avoid difficulty later on. Okay. All right. So again, merchant request versus solution thinking, just kind of a little bit more about what I was just saying there. We want to not just blindly take what the merchant requests. We want to be solution thinking. Again, the merchant says, I need something mobile. You don't want to just put them in the most common mobile solution that you've done. What's the environment? Who's going to be using it? How often? Is this a part of a bigger workflow? Something else that may be coming downstream too, okay? Quick example, you walk into a business, before you walk in the door, you have to know what solutions exist. You have to know what the possible fits might be. You want to ask open, discovery-based questions. We talked about this in the Sell Smarter series. Go back and watch that if you want more information on it. And you're not going to lead with hardware. You're going to listen for signals. You're going to find pain points, and you're going to know the right solutions. Okay. Another thing we're going to dive into at some point in time here in the series is retail versus restaurant. Okay, some of you are strong with retail, haven't done restaurant before, or vice versa, and there are very different needs, right? With those different types of merchants, right? So the solution deck, as well as our future sessions, are going to help you understand how the approach needs to be different. What are the different solution mixes that might be appropriate? And again, how to ask the right questions. To get to solid solution sales, you have to ask the right questions. Okay? Strong agents know the solution options. They don't oversimplify their merchant needs. They avoid one-size-fits-all selling. They have a good grasp of their tools. They ask the right questions so that they can get to the best endpoint. So again, how should the deck be used throughout the series? In future sessions, we're going to reference specific solution categories. We're going to discuss why certain options fit those scenarios and why some don't. We're going to show how thinking expands when you know what's possible, of course. And the deck, of course, is the foundation because we have to start with the solutions. And so what to do before next week? Okay, next week we're going to dive into a scenario. And before that, I do want to challenge you all to take a look at the deck with fresh eyes. We took a little bit of a look today, but take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes between now and the time we meet next week to just make your way through the deck, make your way through the columns, and see, oh wow, that's in there. I didn't even realize that was in there. Okay. You can also think about some recent merchant conversations, especially ones that did not go well, right? Or where you were asked a question that you didn't know the answer to, which happens to all of us, but you don't want it to happen again, right? You want that to be a learning experience. Okay. And you also want to ask yourself, hey, maybe for some of my past merchants, for some of my past sales, did I sell the right solution? Could there have been a better fit? Maybe if I had asked the right questions, or if I had known the deck better, or if I had reached out to my RM at Host, maybe was there a better mousetrap here for them? Okay. Again, we're not selling products. We're not selling decks. We're selling clarity, confidence, and fit. Okay. So going forward, we have not decided on the topic for next week yet, but it's probably going to be one of these, and a lot of these are probably going to be on the horizon in the not too distant future. Okay. So some ideas we had for future topics for In the Trenches. One was, gas stations, right? Gas stations have very specific needs. Okay. And if you've not sold a gas station before, you know, you're going to be presented with some stuff that you're just not familiar with. So we want to help familiarize you with that, things you need to know to be ready to go in and go after gas stations. Okay. Stuff that we've probably also seen, but we can really help you drill in on what your go-to approach is going to be with someone who says, hey, I need a mobile reader, or hey, most important thing to me is I really need tap to pay, or I need to be able to send invoices, or I need a simple device. I don't want any SaaS costs. I just want to take a simple device that doesn't have any of those extra costs with it. Okay. I've got a merchant that must have ACH. I've got a merchant that needs a QuickBooks integration. And by the way, they're not all created the same. If you go back to the YouTube channel, we did a deep dive a little while ago on some QuickBooks solutions. We'll probably come back to that with a slightly different lens. Again, not just what the solutions are, but how you approach a merchant, when they need QuickBooks integration, and what does that mean, and what can the different integrations provide. And what's key differences between retail and restaurant? What are the omni-channel solutions that are available where we can do everything all in one place? How do I sell Clover, to a Toast user? Okay. Things like that. Stuff that a lot of us have seen out in the field that maybe probably deserves a little bit of a revisit, a little bit of a deeper dive, so we're better ready to attack those when those come along. And of course, suggestions, right? Suggestions are important. I want to really encourage you all. Please reach out and say, hey, I'd love for you to do a deep dive on this. Hey, I got this question the other day. I didn't know what to say. Hey, I'm about to go into this situation. I need to sell this. Can you help me out, or maybe even do a webinar on it? That's what we're here for. We're here to help provide you guys value, help you win more. All right. So again, like usual, reach out, help me help you. Reach out to me. You got my contact info down here. Your RMs. Reach out to them. Help us help you out there in the field. If you need help with demos, also the incentives are still out there for the Cloud Manager suite. Some of you keep bringing people our way for demos. I appreciate that. And again, people are winning with Cloud Manager. They're avoiding software costs forever. They're saving. So they're saving on their software. They're saving on payments. They're running their whole business out of our software, and it's wins all around. And you guys, there's an incentive for you to bring those merchants here too. So stop share. Let me see if we got any unanswered questions. I don't see any. All right, so I said I'd get us out of here early. I guess I lied. It's on the nose. At least I'm not late today. So thanks for hopping on, everyone. Appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you guys next week.